Have you ever wondered how our earliest ancestors dared to venture across the vast, mysterious oceans? In an era long before the invention of compasses, GPS devices, or detailed nautical charts, these intrepid explorers developed one of antiquity's most sophisticated trading systems, maritime commerce. The sheer audacity of their achievements becomes even more remarkable when we consider a groundbreaking discovery off the Australian coast, where researchers uncovered evidence of trading routes dating back an astounding 65,000 years. This finding has completely transformed our understanding of prehistoric human capabilities and pushes the timeline of maritime navigation far beyond what we previously thought possible. Picture yourself standing on an ancient shoreline, watching these early seafarers prepare for a journey into the unknown. With nothing but their acute observation skills and accumulated knowledge passed down through generations, they masterfully read the stars, interpreted weather patterns, and understood the ocean's moods. These prehistoric mariners developed sophisticated methods to navigate treacherous waters, establishing complex trading networks that would lay the foundation for future civilizations. The magnitude of their accomplishment becomes clear when we consider the challenges they faced. Without modern navigation tools, they relied on subtle environmental cues, the direction of prevailing winds, the behavior of seabirds, the patterns of ocean swells, and the position of celestial bodies. They developed intricate systems of knowledge that enabled them to traverse vast distances across seemingly endless expanses of water, creating connections between distant lands that would have been unimaginable to their land-bound contemporaries. This discovery in Australia not only reveals the remarkable maritime capabilities of our ancestors, but also suggests that humans were engaging in sophisticated naval exploration tens of thousands of years earlier than previously believed. These ancient mariners weren't just lucky survivors. They were skilled navigators who developed and maintained consistent trading routes across challenging ocean passages. Before we dive deeper into this fascinating journey through ancient seas, don't forget to subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel and hit the notification bell to ensure you don't miss any more surprising discoveries about our remarkable ancestors. The story of early maritime trade is just beginning, and there's so much more to explore about how these ancient seafarers changed the course of human history forever. Primitive maritime trade emerged from the perfect confluence of human necessity, curiosity, and innovation. As our ancestors established the first coastal settlements, they began to unravel the ocean's vast potential, not just as a source of sustenance, but as a gateway to unprecedented opportunities. This realization would eventually trigger one of humanity's greatest revolutions, the birth of commercial navigation. Archaeological evidence suggests that coastal communities first began to understand the ocean's bounty around 100,000 years ago. These early settlers discovered that different coastal regions provided unique resources. Some areas were rich in specific types of fish, while others offered abundant shellfish or particular types of seaweed. This understanding of regional diversity would later become crucial in the development of trading networks. The discovery of resource variation between regions sparked a remarkable chain of events. Coastal communities began to notice that their neighbors, sometimes just a few days' journey away by water, had access to entirely different materials and goods. Some regions were blessed with abundant obsidian for toolmaking, others with high-quality ochre for ceremonial purposes, and still others with specific types of wood ideal for boat building. This awareness of regional specialization became the foundational catalyst for maritime trade. As these communities developed, they began to establish regular contact with neighboring settlements along the coastline. Initially, these interactions might have been simple exchanges between adjacent communities, but they gradually evolved into more complex trading networks. The sea, once viewed as a barrier, transformed into a highway connecting different cultures and communities. The development of maritime trade also coincided with significant technological advances. Communities began to perfect their boat-building techniques, developing vessels that could carry increasingly heavy loads and travel greater distances. This technological evolution wasn't just about the vessels themselves. It encompassed a growing understanding of weather patterns, ocean currents, and celestial navigation. What makes this historical context particularly fascinating is how it demonstrates human adaptability and ingenuity. These early maritime traders had to develop complex systems of communication, establish trading protocols, and create methods of determining value for different goods. They effectively laid the groundwork for economic systems that would evolve over millennia. The impact of this maritime revolution extended far beyond mere trade. It facilitated the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. Communities that engaged in maritime trade began to develop more complex social structures, as they needed to organize labor for boat building, coordinate trading expeditions, and manage relationships with distant trading partners. This organizational complexity would later contribute to the development of the first civilizations. This historical transformation marked humanity's first steps toward globalization, establishing patterns of maritime commerce that would shape human civilization for millennia to come. The legacy of these early maritime traders continues to influence our modern global trading systems, reminding us that the seas have always been crucial pathways for human progress and innovation. The story of ancient maritime trade is intrinsically linked to the remarkable Phoenicians, the master navigators of the Mediterranean Sea. These skilled seafarers, who flourished between 1500 BCE and 300 BCE, were more than mere traders. They were civilization's first great maritime entrepreneurs and cultural ambassadors. The Phoenician captain was a figure of immense respect and authority. Picture a weather-beaten man standing proudly at the helm of his cedar ship, his skin tanned by decades under the Mediterranean sun. His knowledge, passed down through generations of seafaring families, encompassed not just navigation but also astronomy, meteorology, and the art of negotiation. These captains could read the stars with remarkable precision and predict weather patterns through careful observation of cloud formations and wind directions. Aboard these ships, the crew was a tightly knit community. Each member played a vital role, from the experienced navigator who could plot courses using the stars, to the skilled craftsmen who maintained the vessels at sea. The Phoenicians developed a sophisticated system of ranks and responsibilities that would later influence maritime traditions for centuries to come. The merchants themselves were equally fascinating characters. Often multilingual, they were masters of cross-cultural communication, capable of negotiating complex trades in ports from Egypt to Spain. They didn't just trade goods. They were cultural intermediaries who facilitated the exchange of ideas, technologies, and artistic styles between different civilizations. Their cargo holds carried precious purple dye from Tyre, prized cedar wood from Lebanon, delicate glassware from Sidon, and precious metals from distant lands. But perhaps most remarkably, these Phoenician traders were also the world's first maritime educators. They established a complex apprenticeship system where young sailors would learn the intricacies of navigation, shipbuilding, and trade over many years. This knowledge transfer system was so effective that Phoenician maritime expertise became legendary, with many ancient civilizations, including the Greeks and Romans, seeking to learn from their methods. The Phoenicians also employed specialized craftsmen who traveled with their ships. These artisans would not only repair and maintain vessels, but also share their technical knowledge in foreign ports. Through these exchanges, sophisticated shipbuilding techniques and trading practices spread throughout the Mediterranean world. Women, though often overlooked in maritime history, played crucial roles in Phoenician trading networks. In many Phoenician port cities, women managed complex trading operations, overseeing warehouses, maintaining business records, and coordinating trade expeditions. Some historical records even mention female merchants who owned their own trading vessels. Royal patrons and city leaders were also vital figures in this maritime network. They provided the political and economic framework that allowed maritime trade to flourish. These leaders established the first international trade agreements, standardized weights and measures, and created legal systems to protect merchants and their cargo. The legacy of these ancient mariners extends far beyond their time. Their trading practices, navigation techniques, and shipbuilding methods laid the foundation for maritime commerce as we know it today. They were the pioneers who transformed the Mediterranean Sea from a barrier into a bridge between civilizations, creating connections that would shape the course of human history. Through their courage, innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit, these Phoenician seafarers became the architects of the first truly international trading network, setting patterns of maritime commerce that would endure for millennia. Their story reminds us that the foundations of our globalized world were laid not by armies or empires, but by brave merchants who dared to venture across the waves in search of trade and knowledge. The evolution of maritime technology stands as one of humanity's greatest achievements, marking our transition from coastal dwellers to masters of the seas. The sophistication of ancient shipbuilding technologies continues to astound modern naval architects and historians, revealing an extraordinary journey of human innovation. The earliest watercraft, dating back to roughly 8000 BCE, were remarkably ingenious despite their simplicity. Reed boats, constructed from bundled papyrus or bamboo, demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of buoyancy and water displacement. These vessels, though primitive by today's standards, incorporated innovative design elements such as raised sides to prevent water from splashing in and carefully calculated reed bundle densities to optimize flotation. A revolutionary advancement came with the development of dugout canoes, carved from single massive tree trunks. This technology represented humanity's first step toward understanding hull design. The process of creating these vessels required not only immense physical effort, but also complex knowledge of wood properties, water resistance, and stability principles. Some dugout canoes discovered by archaeologists measured up to 40 feet in length, suggesting organized maritime expeditions as early as 6000 BCE. The invention of planked boats marked a quantum leap in shipbuilding technology. The Egyptians pioneered this technique around 3000 BCE, developing a method of joining wooden planks using mortise and tenon joints. This innovation allowed for larger, more stable vessels capable of carrying heavier cargo. Their shipwrights also developed the first known use of tree resin and pitch for waterproofing, technologies that would influence shipbuilding for millennia. Perhaps the most significant technological breakthrough came with the Phoenician development of the keeled merchant ship around 1500 BCE. The keel, a strong beam running along the bottom of the vessel from bow to stern, revolutionized maritime commerce. This innovation provided several crucial advantages. It improved stability in rough seas, allowed for larger cargo capacity, and enabled ships to sail closer to the wind. The keeled design also made it possible to add a deeper hull, dramatically increasing storage space for trade goods. The Phoenicians also pioneered advanced construction techniques like skeleton-first building, where the ship's framework was constructed before the outer planking was attached. This method created stronger vessels capable of withstanding the Mediterranean's unpredictable weather patterns. They developed sophisticated systems of wooden joints and bracing that distributed stress more evenly throughout the ship's structure. Another remarkable innovation was the development of sewn plank boats, particularly prevalent in the Indian Ocean trade routes. These vessels used coconut fiber ropes to literally stitch planks together, creating hulls that could flex with the waves rather than fight against them. This flexibility made them incredibly seaworthy and able to survive conditions that would break rigid hulls. The ancient Greeks contributed significantly to maritime technology by perfecting the art of lead sheathing, covering a ship's hull with thin lead plates to protect against shipworms and reduce water resistance. They also developed more efficient sail configurations, including the revolutionary triangular sail, which allowed vessels to tack against the wind more effectively. Engineering advances weren't limited to ship construction. Ancient mariners developed sophisticated anchoring systems, progressing from simple stone weights to complex iron anchors with wooden stocks. They created innovative cargo storage solutions, including amphora racks that prevented breakage during rough seas and sophisticated bilge pump systems to remove water from the hull. Navigation technology also saw remarkable advancement. The development of celestial navigation techniques, wind charts, and depth-sounding methods enabled longer voyages away from coastlines. Traders developed sophisticated methods for measuring time and distance, using water clocks and marked lengths of rope trailing behind their vessels. These technological innovations didn't occur in isolation. They represented the culmination of centuries of accumulated knowledge, passed down through generations of shipwrights and sailors. Each advancement built upon previous discoveries, creating an ever more sophisticated understanding of maritime engineering and navigation. The impact of these ancient maritime technologies extends far beyond their historical context. Many of the fundamental principles developed by ancient shipwrights, from hull design to water displacement calculations, continue to influence modern naval architecture. Their innovations laid the groundwork for the global maritime trade network that shapes our world today. This incredible journey from simple reed boats to sophisticated keeled vessels represents one of humanity's greatest technological achievements, demonstrating our ancestors' remarkable ability to adapt, innovate, and overcome the challenges of maritime navigation and trade. If you are in awe of these ancient nautical technologies, leave a like and comment. Which ancient maritime innovation did you find most impressive? Ancient maritime commerce presented a formidable array of challenges that required extraordinary courage, skill, and ingenuity to overcome. These challenges shaped not only the development of maritime technology, but also the evolution of human problem-solving capabilities and risk management strategies. The most immediate and constant threat came from the unpredictable nature of the seas themselves. Ancient mariners faced powerful storms without the benefit of modern weather forecasting. They developed sophisticated methods of reading natural signs, the behavior of seabirds, cloud formations, and wind patterns, to predict approaching weather systems. Despite these skills, many ships were lost to sudden squalls and powerful storms that could appear with little warning. Navigation in ancient times was an art that required immense skill and experience. Without compasses or precise charts, sailors relied on an intimate knowledge of celestial bodies. They developed complex systems for tracking stars, particularly the North Star, Polaris, and created the first primitive star charts. During daylight, they used the sun's position and shadow measurements to determine latitude, though longitude remained a persistent challenge until much later in history. Underwater hazards posed another significant threat. Reefs, shoals, and underwater rocks could tear through wooden hulls, sending ships and cargo to the bottom in minutes. Ancient mariners created detailed mental maps of dangerous areas, passing this knowledge down through generations. They developed techniques for measuring water depth using weighted lines, and learned to read watercolor changes that might indicate shallow areas. Piracy emerged as a severe threat almost as soon as maritime trade began. Pirates were particularly active in the Mediterranean and along the coasts of Asia, forcing merchants to develop various defensive strategies. Ships often traveled in convoys for protection, and many merchant vessels were equipped with weapons and trained fighters. Some trading communities established early forms of maritime insurance to help mitigate the risks of piracy and shipwreck. Political instability in various regions could suddenly close established trade routes, forcing merchants to find alternative paths or risk dangerous passages through hostile territories. Traders had to become skilled diplomats, negotiating safe passage through different political jurisdictions and dealing with various local customs and regulations. The preservation of cargo presented another significant challenge. Food supplies could spoil during long voyages, and valuable goods could be damaged by seawater or humidity. Traders developed innovative storage solutions, including sealed amphorae for liquids and specialized containers treated with pitch or resin for protection against moisture. They also had to combat rats and other vermin that could destroy food supplies and spread disease. Long-distance navigation required careful management of fresh water supplies. Ships needed to carry enough water for their crew while leaving sufficient space for cargo. Traders developed knowledge of freshwater sources along their routes and created methods for collecting rainwater at sea. The limitations of ancient shipbuilding technology presented constant challenges. Wooden ships required regular maintenance to prevent leaks and combat wood rot. The need to stay within sight of land for navigation often meant longer journey times and exposure to coastal hazards. When ships did venture into open waters, they faced the risk of becoming completely lost if they strayed too far from familiar waters. Language barriers and cultural differences presented significant challenges in foreign ports. Successful traders needed to develop cross-cultural communication skills and understand various local customs and trading practices. They often relied on networks of trusted agents in foreign ports to facilitate trade and provide local knowledge. Ancient maritime trade was highly seasonal, with certain routes only being navigable during specific times of the year due to prevailing winds and weather patterns. This required careful planning and timing of voyages, as well as the development of sophisticated understanding of seasonal weather patterns across different regions. The financial risks of maritime trade were enormous. A single lost shipment could ruin a merchant, leading to the development of various risk-sharing arrangements and early forms of maritime insurance. Traders had to carefully balance potential profits against the substantial risks involved in each voyage. These challenges fostered remarkable innovations in navigation, shipbuilding, and trade practices. The solutions developed by ancient mariners laid the groundwork for modern maritime commerce and demonstrated human ingenuity at its finest. Their methods of risk management, weather prediction, and celestial navigation continued to influence maritime practices for thousands of years, and some of their insights remain relevant even in today's high-tech maritime industry. The ability of ancient traders to overcome these tremendous challenges speaks to the remarkable resilience and adaptability of human civilization. Their solutions to these complex problems helped establish the foundations of global commerce and cross-cultural exchange that we continue to build upon today. The ancient maritime trade routes offer profound insights into our modern globalized world, providing valuable lessons that remain remarkably relevant today. By examining these historical trading networks, we can better understand and address contemporary challenges in global commerce and cultural exchange. Ancient maritime traders understood something fundamental that modern businesses are rediscovering: the importance of diverse, resilient networks. Just as ancient Phoenician merchants maintained multiple trading routes and partnerships to ensure their survival, today's global businesses are learning the importance of diversifying supply chains and not relying too heavily on single sources or routes. The COVID-19 pandemic particularly highlighted this lesson, as businesses with diverse supply networks proved more resilient to disruption. Ancient merchants were pioneers of what we now call cultural intelligence. They recognized that successful trade required more than just goods exchange. It demanded deep understanding of different cultures, customs, and business practices. These early traders developed sophisticated cross-cultural communication skills that modern international businesses still strive to emulate. Their success depended on building trust across cultural boundaries, a skill equally crucial in today's global marketplace. The ancient maritime trade routes weren't just conduits for goods. They were highways for knowledge and innovation. Ideas, technologies, and cultural practices spread along these routes, enriching all societies they touched. This mirrors today's global innovation networks, where technological advancement often depends on international collaboration and knowledge sharing. The ancient trading networks remind us that innovation flourishes best in an environment of open exchange and cross-cultural pollination. Ancient traders developed sophisticated approaches to managing risk, including early forms of insurance and risk-sharing agreements. Their methods of distributing risk across multiple voyages and partners offer lessons for modern risk management practices. Today's global businesses face similar challenges in balancing opportunity with risk, and many of their solutions, from insurance to diversification, have roots in ancient maritime trading practices. Ancient maritime traders developed deep understanding of environmental patterns and their impact on trade. They recognized the importance of sustainable resource use and the need to work within environmental constraints. This knowledge is particularly relevant today as we grapple with climate change and its effects on global commerce. Their respect for and adaptation to environmental forces offers lessons for modern sustainable business practices. The development of ports, warehouses, and trading posts in ancient times demonstrates the crucial role of infrastructure in facilitating trade. Ancient societies invested heavily in trading infrastructure, understanding its importance for economic growth. This lesson remains relevant as modern nations debate infrastructure investment and development along new trade routes, such as China's Belt and Road Initiative. Ancient traders developed standardized systems of weights, measures, and trading practices that facilitated commerce across different regions. This early standardization efforts mirror modern attempts to create international trade standards and protocols. Their success in developing widely accepted trading practices demonstrates the importance of common frameworks in international commerce. The role of trade in fostering diplomatic relations between different societies was well understood in ancient times. Trade often preceded and facilitated diplomatic ties, creating networks of mutual interest that helped maintain peace and stability. This relationship between commerce and diplomacy remains crucial in today's international relations. Ancient traders showed remarkable ability to adapt to changing market conditions, shifting routes and trading patterns in response to political, environmental, or economic changes. This adaptability is increasingly important in today's rapidly changing global marketplace, where businesses must constantly evolve to remain competitive. Many ancient trading communities recognized the importance of maintaining good relationships with local populations and contributing to the societies they traded with. This early form of social responsibility offers lessons for modern corporations operating in global markets. The development of currency systems and financial instruments in ancient maritime trade provides insights into modern international finance. Their solutions to challenges of cross-border payments and value transfer remain relevant to current discussions about international financial systems. Ancient maritime traders developed sophisticated systems for managing crises, from natural disasters to political upheavals. Their approaches to maintaining trade during difficult times offer valuable lessons for modern crisis management in global commerce. These historical lessons are particularly relevant as we face modern challenges in global trade, from supply chain disruptions to environmental concerns. The solutions developed by ancient traders often demonstrate fundamental principles that remain applicable today, even as the scale and technology of commerce have changed dramatically. The study of ancient maritime trade routes reminds us that globalization is not a new phenomenon, but rather a recurring pattern in human civilization. By understanding how our ancestors addressed similar challenges, we can better navigate the complexities of our modern interconnected world and perhaps avoid repeating historical mistakes while building upon their successes. The discovery of 9,000-year-old stone anchors has completely transformed our understanding of human maritime history. These remarkable archaeological finds, unearthed in various coastal regions around the world, provide compelling evidence that humans were engaging in sophisticated maritime activities thousands of years earlier than previously believed. In the Mediterranean region, archaeologists discovered stone anchors weighing up to 600 pounds, featuring carefully carved holes for ropes and intricate markings that archaeologists believe may represent the world's earliest known property records. These markings, some resembling early forms of writing, suggest a complex system of ownership and maritime organization that predates our earliest known writing systems. Another fascinating discovery comes from the Persian Gulf, where researchers found stone anchors dating back to 7000 BCE. These anchors show signs of sophisticated engineering, with carefully positioned holes that allowed them to be easily retrieved from the seabed, a crucial innovation that made early maritime trade more efficient and less costly. In Southeast Asia, archaeological expeditions have uncovered stone anchors featuring unique notching systems that allowed sailors to secure them at different depths, an early example of adaptable maritime technology. Some of these anchors also bear distinctive marks that archaeologists believe might have indicated specific trading families or early maritime guilds. The construction techniques used in these ancient anchors reveal remarkable engineering knowledge. Analysis shows that many were carefully balanced and shaped to provide maximum holding power while being retrievable when needed. Some even featured innovative design elements like grooves that helped them dig more effectively into the seabed. Recent underwater archaeology in the Indian Ocean has revealed stone anchors with unique patterns suggesting they were dragged across vast distances, indicating trade routes far more extensive than previously imagined. These findings challenge our assumptions about the range and sophistication of ancient maritime networks. Perhaps most intriguingly, some stone anchors discovered off the coast of what is now Yemen show evidence of having been recycled from architectural elements of land-based structures. This suggests that ancient mariners were resourceful engineers who understood the properties of different types of stone and their suitability for maritime use. DNA analysis of marine life attached to these ancient anchors has provided valuable information about historical trade routes and climate patterns. By studying the species of coral and mollusk remains found on these artifacts, scientists have been able to reconstruct ancient shipping lanes with unprecedented accuracy. Some of these stone anchors were found alongside remains of primitive dock structures, suggesting that organized port facilities existed thousands of years earlier than previously thought. These discoveries indicate that our ancestors had developed sophisticated maritime infrastructure long before the rise of the first known civilizations. The distribution patterns of these ancient anchors also reveal surprising connections between distant coastal communities. Identical design features found in anchors thousands of miles apart suggest that maritime knowledge was being shared across vast distances as early as 7000 BCE. The most recent breakthroughs in dating these artifacts have come from advanced techniques like optically stimulated luminescence, which can determine when stones were last exposed to sunlight. These methods have revealed that some maritime trading routes were in continuous use for thousands of years, representing humanity's earliest known sustainable trade networks. These discoveries continue to yield new insights into ancient maritime practices. Each new find adds another piece to the puzzle of how our ancestors mastered the seas and developed the foundations of global trade. The story of these stone anchors reminds us that the human drive to explore and trade across the oceans is one of our oldest and most enduring characteristics. The next time you glimpse a massive container ship on the horizon, take a moment to reflect on its ancient origins. That impressive vessel, carrying thousands of containers across vast oceans, represents the culmination of a journey that began millennia ago with our earliest ancestors who dared to venture beyond the shoreline. Their revolutionary spirit and unwavering determination laid the groundwork for today's interconnected world. These primitive seafarers, armed with nothing but their ingenuity and courage, fundamentally transformed human civilization. They didn't just create trade routes, they built bridges between cultures, fostered the exchange of ideas, and demonstrated humanity's remarkable capacity for innovation. Their legacy lives on in every vessel that crosses our oceans, in every international trade agreement, and in the global commerce that shapes our modern world. The evolution from simple reed boats to today's sophisticated vessels tells a story of human perseverance and ingenuity. Each technological advancement, from the first wooden planks to the implementation of the keel, represented a leap forward in our species' ability to master the seas. These innovations didn't just improve maritime trade, they revolutionized human connection and cultural exchange. The challenges faced by these ancient mariners were immense, yet they persevered. Without modern navigation tools, weather forecasting, or emergency communication systems, they ventured into the unknown. Their courage established the foundation for global maritime commerce, creating pathways that would eventually connect every corner of our world. Today's global supply chains, international trading networks, and maritime laws all trace their origins to these primitive traders. They developed the first systems of maritime insurance, established the earliest trading protocols, and created the first international business networks. Their innovations continue to influence modern maritime practices, demonstrating the enduring impact of their achievements. As we look to the future of maritime trade, with its autonomous vessels, AI-powered navigation systems, and highly efficient logistics networks, we stand on the shoulders of these ancient giants. Their spirit of innovation and exploration continues to inspire new generations of maritime professionals who push the boundaries of what's possible on the seas. The story of ancient maritime trade reminds us that progress often begins with small, courageous steps into the unknown. Just as our ancestors dared to dream of crossing vast oceans, today's maritime industry continues to evolve and innovate, carrying forward the legacy of those first brave seafarers. If this journey through maritime history has captured your imagination, we invite you to become part of our growing community of history enthusiasts. Hit the subscribe button to join us on more fascinating explorations of humanity's greatest achievements. Don't forget to activate the notification bell to ensure you never miss our upcoming episodes about ancient innovations that shaped our world. Share this video with fellow history buffs and modern-day adventurers who appreciate the remarkable story of human progress. Your likes and shares help us reach more people with these fascinating stories from our shared past. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below telling us which aspect of primitive maritime trade surprised you the most. Was it the ingenious navigation techniques? The sophisticated trading networks? Or perhaps the remarkable preservation of ancient artifacts that tell their story? Join us next week as we explore another chapter in humanity's remarkable journey of innovation and discovery. Together, let's continue to uncover the fascinating stories that connect our past to our present and shape our future.